Gen Digital owns Norton Password Manager. That sentence is either unremarkable or the entire point of this video, depending on what the viewer knows about Gen Digital. If Gen Digital is just the company that owns Norton, it is unremarkable. If Gen Digital is the company whose Avast brand sold user browsing data to over 100 commercial clients for 6 years, while marketing privacy protection, whose CCleaner brand was a malware distribution vector in a supply chain attack, and whose brands have been the subject of 2 FTC enforcement actions, the sentence carries different weight. Norton Password Manager is a free vault inside Norton 360. Gen Digital is the company that holds the infrastructure through which you store your passwords. This video does not argue that Norton Password Manager is dangerous. It argues that the trust question for any security product has 2 components: the product's own design and record, and the corporate context in which that record exists. Gen Digital is the corporate layer. Norton Password Manager is the product layer. They are the same trust question at 2 different levels. Gen Digital is the company formed when NortonLifeLock completed its acquisition of Avast in September 2022. The corporate family, Norton, Avast, AVG, Avira, LifeLock, Reputation, Defender, and CCleaner. Approximately 500 million users. Fiscal year 2025 revenue of $3.935 billion. Guidance raised to approximately $4.96 to $4.98 billion for fiscal year 2026. The documented record at the corporate level: Avast collected and sold user browsing data through its Jumpshot subsidiary from 2014 to 2020, 6 years of data sales to commercial clients, including Google, Microsoft, and Pepsi, while marketing the product as privacy protection. FTC settlement, $16.5 million, finalized June 2026-2024. Permanent ban on selling browsing data for advertising. Consumer refund checks, 103,152, beginning February 2025. The CCleaner supply chain attack of 2017 infected approximately 2.27 million devices with malware delivered through an official, digitally signed download. The LifeLock brand received a $100 million FTC settlement in 2015 for false advertising and security failures. The NortonLifeLock Credential stuffing incident of December 2022 accessed thousands of password manager accounts. The CLOHP ransomware group hit both NortonLifeLock and CCleaner in the same MOVEit mass hack campaign in 2023. Norton Password Manager grew from Norton Identity Safe, a vault component that was renamed in September 2018 to align with the industry term users recognized. It was not built as a standalone trust product, competing on zero-knowledge architecture alone. It was built as a retention feature that makes a Norton 360 subscriber more likely to stay inside the Gen Digital ecosystem. The Gen Digital corporate record and the Norton Password Manager product record sit at different levels of severity, and both levels matter. At the corporate level, Avast sold browsing data for 6 years as a business model. This is not a breach, it is not a misconfiguration, it is what the company chose to do with the access its product required. The FTC's enforcement did not resolve the trust question, it drew a formal line. The current data practices are constrained by the FTC order, not by a voluntary change in the company's incentive structure. At the product level, Norton Password Manager's Credential stuffing incident in December 2022 demonstrated that account-level access to a password manager vault is possible even when the vault's encryption is not broken. Norton correctly stated its systems were not hacked. The attackers used externally stolen credentials. The product, whose reason for existing is to prevent password reuse, was compromised via password reuse. The February 2026 Norton Community Export Report: 788 logins entered, 474 received. Documents silent data loss with no error message. Norton claims zero-knowledge architecture. No published independent third-party audit exists to verify that claim for this product. The connection between these 2 layers is the question this series keeps asking. Avast sold browsing data. Norton Password Manager stores the credentials to your email, your banking, and your social media accounts. These are not the same product, and they are not the same category of data. The concern is not that Norton is currently selling your passwords. The concern is that the track record of the corporate parent tells the viewer something about the institutional values of the company holding their most sensitive data. Gen Digital's technical products perform well in independent testing. AV-Test awarded Norton Best Usability and Best macOS Security in 2025. AV-Comparatives gave top ratings to Norton, Avast, and AVG in 2025. The antivirus engines are competitive. Norton 360's bundle model is the most complete consumer security offering at its price tier for everyday use. The FTC has now drawn a formal line around the most egregious data practice. The worst documented behavior has formally ended. Norton Password Manager's technical architecture is consistent with what a competent Vault product should offer. AES 256 encryption, zero-knowledge design, where the Vault password is converted to a decryption key on the device and never transmitted to Norton servers in readable form, cross-platform browser extension support, biometric mobile unlock. For a user who would otherwise have no password manager, it provides meaningful protection with minimal friction. The competitive gap matters. Bitwarden is free, open source, independently audited, and more capable. Secure vault sharing, emergency access, passkey support, no export omissions in reported community use. 1Password has travel mode, family sharing, and published audits. These alternatives do not have the Gen Digital brand history. For a user choosing a password manager by comparison, rather than accepting one by default, the independent alternatives consistently outperform Norton on the features that distinguish a password manager from a browser's built-in password storage. The captive audience problem runs through both layers of the Gen Digital stack. Gen Digital's free tier of Avast and AVG is an acquisition funnel that converts non-paying users into paying subscribers. Norton Password Manager is a retention anchor that keeps those subscribers inside the ecosystem once acquired. Both serve the same business logic: maximize the surface area of Gen Digital products on the user's device and reduce the probability of cancellation. The case for using Norton 360 and Norton Password Manager together is a coherent one for a specific user. Non-technical, not comparing alternatives, wanting one subscription that covers antivirus, VPN, password manager, and identity monitoring. The bundle is competent, the antivirus engine is tested, the Vault architecture is documented. For this user, the Gen Digital record is context they may not have sought and may not change their behavior, even if they had. The case for choosing a different password manager, even if you remain a Norton 360 antivirus subscriber, is also coherent. Bitwarden costs nothing, is independently audited, and is more capable. The FTC's formal constraint on Gen Digital's data practices does not guarantee that future ownership decisions, future product changes, or future regulatory gaps will be handled differently from the past ones. A password manager is the most sensitive product in the consumer security stack, the credentials to everything. Choosing the Vault independently of the antivirus is not paranoia. It is security hygiene. The series thesis is about the gap between what a security product promises and what the company behind it has actually done with user access. Gen Digital and Norton Password Manager represent that gap at two levels simultaneously. The corporate level, a company that built a profitable business on selling browsing data while marketing privacy protection, regulated by the FTC, now reformed by order rather than by voluntary choice. The product level, a password manager with no published independent audit, a credential stuffing incident in its recent history, a silent export omission documented in 2026, and no secure sharing, emergency access, or passkey support in a category where independent alternatives provide all of those at no cost. Both are part of the same stack. Both are sold on the same trust. Gen Digital is scale without trust. Norton Password Manager is the specific product that trust question lands on when the user opens their Vault.